All right, in today's video, we're going to be building our Interface C, a product by Baca. If you haven't seen it already, I have a video that shows what the device is, how it works, put it through its paces, all that kind of stuff. And this video is just going to be the assembly, just kind of a tutorial for showing how to throw everything together. So we've got our little card here with a QR code. I imagine that goes to the Interface C website or the instructions. And then we have all of our parts here. Okay, so we have our Arduino ESP32 Nano, I guess. I'm not entirely well versed on this kind of stuff. I did mess with microcontrollers when I was a kid, here and there. All right, yeah, these have the Lego logo on them, Lego pieces. Got little feet for the device. We have our shell here. And some more parts. So I'm not sure how, yours, if you were to order one, how it would come packaged, because mine was a little bit different. But if you go through his instructions, that's what I'm going to do in a minute here, is I'm going to go through each part and make sure I have everything just in case. So this is the knob, and this is the front. Is this our... all right, so that board, yeah, okay. The reason yours might be different is I'm special. On the Eurobricks forum post, I mentioned that the yellow and black one he showed off looked really cool, so he sent this as well. The STL files are available online if you want to print your own, so you can print in whatever colors you want. So I'm actually going to build it just like it is from the kit. But I'm probably going to be swapping over to this because I think that'll be really cool to have it look like a 9-volt train regulator. And then we got some more parts in here. Let's see, this is the kind of base of everything. So let's get the box out of the way. And more parts here. We got our capacitor. Oh yeah, there's our LCD there. Very cool. So I'm going to get all this organized, and we will go step by step through the instructions and get it built. All right, so I'm gearing up to get everything started. You will definitely need a soldering iron for this kit, and hopefully your workspace is a little more well organized than this, but it is what it is. So let me wet my sponge there and get water everywhere. I also have some water for myself because you got to stay hydrated. So we'll let that heat up. We're going to need a Phillips head bit, a flathead bit, and then a 2.5mm hex bit. We also need something to tighten the nuts with. I'm going to use this 5.5mm nut driver, but you can just hold it with pliers or whatever you want to use. I also have some wire snips. You don't necessarily need a multimeter, but it will make it easier to identify our resistors. So we'll go over that once we get there. So up here on this screen, I have the instructions all ready to go. So that should be big enough for me to read from down here while I'm working on everything. So yeah, I'm excited. Let's get started. Okay, for the first step, we're going to need to solder in a resistor across those 2 points. So it comes with 3 resistors, and we're going to have to identify which resistor is which. So we need the 220K resistor in this case. And you'll see they have these bands along them. So let's get them lined up here. I already know this is the one we're going to use. It is, I don't know if you can tell through the video or not. Red, red, black, red. Is like the colors we need that matter. So if we look at a resistor color code chart, red is 2, the other red's 2, black is a 0, so that's 220, and then the other red is 100 ohm. So basically you're going to end up with 3 zeros, so 22000, so that's 22,000 or 22K, which is the resistor we need to use. If you happen to have a multimeter, it's going to make it super quick to identify which ones are which. That's the 22K. So that's the one we need. One of these is 470. This is 100K, and it's not always going to read exactly, 100K on the dot. And then this one is 470. I also have another meter, and I'll just show how it would work on a kind of cheaper meter. Yeah, this thing's kind of junk, but it was like $20. So yeah, if it's set on 200K, because you have to dial it in there, which is part of why it's a pain. So again, this is the 22K, and you can see it's bouncing all over the place, but we eventually got there, 22K. Let's see, this one that's the 470, so we'd have to go down to like 2000 there, and then that'll read 470. And then for the 100K, it's just going to not read it there. We'll have to go back to like 200K. You have to always overshoot. And then that's going to be our 100K resistor. So again, that's our 22. So let's get this piece of junk out of here. So it doesn't matter the orientation in this case. There's no polarity or anything. So I'm just going to go into each hole there. Just like that, and then you can kind of bend it over to get it to sit in there nice. You'll probably have to, well, I guess we'll let it sit out a little bit. Something like this is very handy. They make little like vices that you can also use. I probably need to get a vice because this thing is kind of junk. It's not holding up very well. I've had it for many years. Let me tighten that down. But it always helps to just kind of hold on to what you're doing. So, and then I also use it to hold my solder. Let's see how that looks. I want to sit just like that. All right. So, when you are soldering, you always want to heat up the pad and what you're soldering to. Actually, let me get a little bit closer down here. I don't know how well this is going to work because I didn't realize how small some of these boards are. So I'm going to kind of hold it between the two. I'm trying to heat up both of them at the same time, and then I'm going to add the solder and just let it kind of get down in there, and then I just kind of slide up a little bit, and then that lets the solder get in there. So let's see if we can see. That's pretty good solder joint, if I do say so myself. And yeah, I decided to let it kind of stand up a little bit since it has that surface mount resistor under it. All right, assume it's a resistor. All right, so let's grab the other side real quick. Again, we're heating both at the same time. When I was a kid, when I was trying to learn to solder, or I had friends that would do stuff together, and we would generally just put the solder on the iron and glob it onto things, and that is not how you get a good solder joint. Okay. All right, that'll do. I'm not crazy about this solder. I just realized I was out of solder and had to start this new roll here. All right, now we're going to trim off any excess, so you'll just use some wire snips. You don't have to get it too close. You don't want to like damage anything. Just like that. All right, now we have our 22K resistor soldered in. And now we have our header. So this is actually 6 pins, but we only need 4. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it down. I'm not sure if yours will come with 4 or not. There we go. And we actually want the pins to go down this way. So that's going to be a little tricky. What I might do is just let it sit like that and then solder. Man, this is so small. It's going to be hard to get a good angle. I need to get going here. This is going to take me forever if I keep going this slow. All right. Come on. Start. Okay, so, ow, it's a little warm. Yeah, it's going to be hard to see, but yeah, let me actually look at it with my eyes. Yeah, that looks fine. It is a little bit, the way I did it, it is bent out a little bit, but that should be fine. It's just hard to do everything with a camera in front of you, but we'll do the best we can here. Okay, then we have I think it's this piece, or maybe this piece. I don't know where my ruler. I have a little, like a DigiKey ruler. It's like a circuit board. It's pretty cool, but that would be handy. It's probably gonna be this one, I guess. No, this one, because yeah, it goes over the pin. So okay, all right. Yeah, let me get up a little bit higher. Yeah, from the picture, it's got to be that piece, just like that. All right. And you can kind of push it in on the pins a little bit there. That'll be fine. Just like that. Now we have our motor controller ready. And don't peel the other side just yet. We will do that in a second. Okay, now we're going to be working with our main circuit board here, which, man, this looks so good. And it's very satisfying. Just feels like good quality. All right. So in the picture, he's got this side. So we got two 0.1 microfarad capacitors. There's only two of these. They're the same. There's also this guy, but don't get that mixed up with it. We're just going to be doing these two. And it's going to be C2 and C3. C2, C3. Orientation doesn't matter, but I want them facing the same way just because that's how I am. So let's move that out of the way. I'm going to kind of hold the pins and then just let it sit like that, so that'll hold them in place while I get at least one leg soldered in. So I'll try to kind of keep it straight up and down. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I'm not too worried about it being perfect. All right. Make sure to keep cleaning your iron on your sponge as you go. All right, let me look at these with my eyes again. Yeah, I hope that's okay. That kind of... Oh, was that just solder? Maybe that isn't a trace. I'm just going crazy. Okay, I never said I was going to be perfect. All right, now we're going to trim off the excess here. Okay, for the next step, we need the button, the green LED, but it'll look clear like that, I imagine. And then the 470 ohm resistor. So I'm going to, just so I don't have to use my eyes here. That's the 100K. So this should be the 470. Okay. And for these, it's going to be on the other side. It's not going to be, your capacitors are going to be going out that way on this side. But these, since these are for the controls, are going to go on the other side. For the button, the orientation doesn't matter. For the resistor, orientation doesn't matter. And for the LED, the direction does matter. So according to the instructions, the shorter leg, which is going to be ground, is going to go to the square pad. If you can see how one of the pads is round and one is square, that's going to be the shorter leg. And normally, you know, LEDs would have a flat side, but apparently this kind of LED, since it's fancy and stylish, does not. So shorter leg goes into the square pad. And I'm just gonna set it down like that and let it kind of hold itself in place. Let me look at the instructions here. Okay, so I was double checking with the instructions to make sure the LED didn't need to like sit out a little bit from the board. I imagine if it did, he might have included some spacers to put under there. But we can always, we'll just do it this way. Let's get some solder. So I'll just kind of get one of the legs of the button. Come on. All right, we'll go to the other side diagonally. Just to get it started. All right, make sure LED's straight. And I'm just going to do one leg for now. And one leg of the resistor. All right, now that I've got everything kind of tacked down a little bit, we'll inspect the other side, make sure our button is straight up and down, the LED is straight up and down, everything looks good. So we'll tighten up the solder connections. And go to one side, just to make sure it's good. All right, yeah, everything looks good to me. Let's go ahead and snip off all the excess. And again, you don't have to get it perfectly flush. You can actually kind of damage the traces, or, you know, if you try to cut it too close. Okay. Okay, for the next part, we're going to need our cute little OLED screen and this piece of the adhesive strip. So let's see. He's got it this way. All right. And we'll just peel off one side for now. And attach it to the back. Something like that. All right. Let's see. So again, the side with the buttons and everything, it's going to go in just like that. So, and we'll want to try to get it straight too. So let's go ahead and peel the adhesive. Come on. All right. Let's try to get this straight. Well, all right, that's as good as that's going to get. And we had like the cutest little peel ever, but I'm going to leave it on for now, just in case. And actually, let's go ahead and put this in. This is our rotary encoder, which is pretty cool. And it's going to go on this side too. Yes. Okay, so I could try to hold it on there and at least get one leg soldered in and hold it straight. Something like that. And yeah, this is going to be so hard to keep in focus. I was actually watching that last clip I just did, and yeah, it's going to be kind of impossible to keep everything in focus here. And that looks fine. I don't think you would need to solder these, but I think I'm going to, just for extra credit, at least just that one side. I'm not necessarily going to glob a whole thing of solder in there, but just to make sure it stays in place really nice. Something like that. And we'll get the other side. Okay, and then we have our 4 pins here for the OLED screen. Okay. Let me look at this with my eyes. It's so hard to look through the camera. All right, that square pad's still not really looking too good. Like, it's fine. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just a little bit of a perfectionist sometimes with my solder joints. Even though I'm just never going to get it perfect. Trying to do this on camera. Okay, good enough. All right, next we're going to be installing our MOSFET, which is this guy here. And we also have another adhesive, double-sided adhesive to put on there, foam pad. And we'll just kind of somewhat line it up there. That's good enough. We'll go ahead and pull the other side since we're okay, that's not how you do it. Okay. And which side does this go on? It looks like from the picture, I can see the white of the capacitor there. So it's going to go in just like that. And I'm going to try to, all right, so I'm holding my finger on the other side here to hold the pins. And that's not, all right, hold on. I'm just going to try to get it bent how I want. It's going to be hard to try to get on camera, but all right. I'm trying to get a nice little 90-degree angle there. Again, it doesn't really matter that much. I just I'm kind of a stickler for that kind of thing. So let's get this soldered in there. That looks good enough. There's not a lot to trim there, but I'm going to go ahead and trim it anyways. Again, I'm not getting too terribly close with this. I know we're going to have the pins from that, and I'm probably not going to worry about trimming those since in the past when I've cut those, they're pretty tough. Like it can kind of, you know, these cheap little things aren't going to do very well for that. Okay, so for the next step, we got a few components. So this should be our 100K resistor. And it is. All right, 100K resistor, our PTC reset fuse. We've got our capacitor, which is an 1800 microfarad, 16 volt. And then we have our power jack. Where is the power jack? Okay, hold please. Okay, so it's the next day. I did find the power jack. You wouldn't believe where it was. It was hiding in this old D-Link router. Okay, so jokes aside, apparently there was one item missing in my package. I thought I'd look through all the parts and kind of inventory them and make sure I had them all. But apparently I missed this. So he's already shipped out another one to me, even though I told him it really wasn't necessary. Like I knew this would be pretty easy to scrounge from something. So, but it's fine. I wanted to use the actual right component there just for the sake of the tutorial. Of course, I have various kind of jacks I could have used, or just had wires coming out the side. Somebody joked in Discord that I could just use a PF connector that goes to there, and then you can power it from a battery box. Anyways, so okay, now we've got our power jack. So let's go ahead and, well, yeah, I guess I need to turn my soldering iron on. So we'll let that heat up a little bit. We've got a resistor, fuse, and capacitor, and then I think this guy is going to be next, the H-bridge driver. So, right, okay, we're all heated up. All right, let's get back at it. Because that's the next day, just trying to come back to a project is a little weird. Okay, so let's go ahead and get it nice and hot. And we'll apply some solder. Okay, and something I didn't mention is that if you're trying to tell which side of the board it needs to go on, he's done a good job of kind of marking everything. So like, it had a square or a rectangle, around where this goes, so it goes on this side and not on that side. And the same goes for the other components here. Now we've got our capacitor, so we've got the white side. This is the negative kind of stripe on the capacitor, and then the longer leg is positive. There's a few different ways to tell, but that's going to be where it needs to go. And it's going to sit a little funny, so I'm going to try to balance it while I get at least one side in. Okay. I guess I could have done the capacitor last, just because it's such a big component. Yeah, good enough. It's not not perfect, but all right. Okay, now we've got our fuse, and orientation does not matter on this one. So I'm just gonna put it in here, and then I'm gonna go ahead and bend it over, because why not? All right, I guess I'm gonna hold it. This is probably a bad idea. I'm gonna hold it with my pinky in place on one hand and hope that it doesn't get too hot. And yes, it was starting to heat up. All right, now let's get the other side. Okay. All right, now we have our 100K resistor, and it's going to go right under the voltage regulator there. So you can kind of go ahead and pre-bend the leads, and then just try to get it down in there just like that. And it looks like it's going to hold in place. All right. Oh, I stuck that one a little low, but it's going to be fine. Oh, and that one too. I try not to trim them that close. Okay, so it's going to be on this side. We'll throw in our H bridge. We're going to go ahead and peel the adhesive off. Well, this part at least. And it's going to go in just like this. And just kind of make sure it's on there good. And, okay, let's go ahead and solder these. Okay, so we have that in there. Maybe I will try to trim these up a little bit. Okay, yeah, not too bad. Can I get them all at once? Probably a bad idea. All right. We got those two. Yeah, why not? Let's go for it. Okay. All right, now we have one of our screw terminals, and it's the 2-pin. And it's going to go right next to our H bridge there. And we want them facing the same direction. So you want to, your wires go in the holes there. So you don't want that side facing outward. And that's going to be a fun one. Yeah, I'm going to have to hold that in place. I definitely envy those with 3 hands. It probably makes this a lot easier, but I'm going to have to do it with 2. So I'm going to hold it with that finger and try to get it in there. Well, it's not like perfectly straight, but it's fine. Okay, now we're going to grab our Arduino and the headers that it's going to plug into. I guess it makes it easier we're going to plug this in to the headers and then solder the headers in just so they're nice and straight. Ain't she a beauty? All right. And yeah, it doesn't matter which direction they go. Okay. And it's going to go on this side, and we want the USB plug facing outward. So just like that. All right, so yeah, I probably should have done this capacitor last because I feel like that's kind of messing me up when I'm trying to like hold things down. I guess that kind of sits flat. We'll see how that works. I'll just go ahead. Oh, all right, I'm going to start over here. Oh, I didn't mean to move it that quick. All right, that looks good on that side. So I'm going to get one. I'm going to hold it with my pinky on the underside and get another pin over here. Okay. All right, so I'm going to do the other corners and then go all the way down and get it all soldered in. All right, so I got it all done. I just ended up using my helping hand, third hand, they're called different things, to hold it in place while I did the rest of the solder joints. And we need to actually set this aside for a second, then we'll come back to it. We're going to start assembling the housing. So we have all our hardware here. I'm going to dump it all out. We're going to be using it in a second here. I think we have one more thing to solder after we get this together. But okay, so these are like fan screws for a computer. And there's going to be 4, so yeah, just like that. I don't know which one I should do first. Yeah, probably these bottom ones actually. Okay. I'm not going to tighten them all the way up until I get them all started. Oh yeah, that goes together nice and easy. Okay, now we have these 2 stickers, or vinyl stickers. I guess they're going to go over the heads of the screws. So yeah, that's a pretty good idea, just to make sure nothing's going to short out or anything like that. Okay. Okay, now we have our 2 wires. So we need the power functions wire. And with the plug facing the bottom up, we're going to feed the wires through the hole up top here, which is easier said than done. Okay, there we go. Okay, now we bust out the Lego pieces. Okay, so we need the 1x8 dark bluish gray, and it looks like we're going to. Ooh, wow, that is tight. Let's see how this fits. Come on. It's a pretty tight fit, but it should be, I guess, just so it doesn't come loose. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, I was wondering how well this would be held in place, but yeah, that feels pretty solid. It's kind of grabbing here, and the 1x8 kind of grabbed in there as well. Okay, now back to soldering. We have one more thing to finish up. Okay, yeah, all right, so here's our little circuit board. So we got our 1/3 ohm resistor there, and we've got these guys on either end. So I'm just going to make it face the right way, because why not? Let's kind of go ahead and bend them down. And this is a bad idea, but I'm like turning it so that the writing shows up there. But okay, didn't damage anything. And I wonder how hot this thing gets. Because if it does get hot, it's probably a pretty good idea to leave a little bit of space. I mean, it doesn't really matter. That's from my pinball expertise, because I had like wire wound resistors and just big old resistors that would just cook the boards underneath, especially in the high voltage for the plasma display. Okay, so yeah, I'll just let it sit on there. That should be fine. Yep, just fine. Okay, and we'll snip the excess. Okay, so now you want to put your terminals on, but you want to make sure the side that the wires go in, which is this side, they're facing out on both sides. So just like that. And hopefully it'll just, with both of them in, okay, just like that. Let's go ahead and get those started. Yeah, I do not like this solder at all. I think it's a little bit different mix than I normally use, like as far as metals, and it's a little bigger than I normally use. Especially if some of these are pretty small pins and pads, so probably could have done with a smaller gauge solder, and even maybe a finer tip on the soldering iron. This is just what I had. Okay, that looks like a completed resistor board. And I'm pretty sure this goes on the bottom. It does. Then after this, we got a few wires, and then finish putting the housing together, and we're off to the races. Okay, yeah, the pin should go right through the pad. And okay. Okay, so in the picture, it's got it like this. It's just like from here over showing the picture, so I guess this is going to go in this side. I do know that the white striped wire goes to pin 1 on both sides, and then so we've got the bridge for the other side. Okay, he says use a 1.5 millimeter flathead screwdriver. Grab that bit, and yeah, it looks like these are already unscrewed because you can get the wire in there. And let's see if I can get them all 4 in there before I start tightening them down. Yep. Oh, man, those are tight. Wow. I feel like I'm stripping the screws, and it didn't grab at all. Like it's just from the factory, super tight. Okay, this is insane. I'm not crazy. It looks like they're already all the way tightened down, because if I loosen them, that brings that down. I have never seen that before in my life. I've messed with a lot of these little terminal strips. Now the question is, are you supposed to go down and then grip the wire there? I'll bet, well, okay, I'm on the wrong side. Wow. Okay, let's try to get pin 1. Okay, so I loosened it up, and now I'm tightening it, and it should be kind of grabbing it from the bottom. Okay, all right, so I'm going to go ahead and loosen all these. Okay, now we can tighten them. I'm just going to snug them up first, and then I'll give them a good... Not too much, but definitely want it to be secure. Okay, wow, that was crazy. I really thought I had lost my mind. Okay, so we've got our wire, and we want the striped wire on the same side as this side. Okie dokie. That was something. Okay, so it looks like you would peel this strip off here and then attach it down here. I don't think I'm going to do that for now because, again, I have two different casings. So I'll probably leave this loose so I can, you know, swap between them or something. I'm not really sure. I'm just in case. I won't do it just yet. Okay, so I'm just going to splice this in before you finish assembling everything. I made a mistake. It's probably not going to show up on the footage here, but I'll insert a picture. I had a bad solder joint on the rotation knob. So before you assemble everything, this is probably a good time to just go ahead and double check all your solder connections. Rookie mistake, but the problem is trying to film everything. And also my eyes just aren't what they used to be. So I'm going to go ahead and fix this solder joint, that middle pin, and then I'm also just going to, I went ahead and took the standoffs back off, and I'm going to pull the board out and just double check all the solder connections on both sides of the board before I put it all back together. Okay, now we go to the top part of the housing, and he has it oriented like this. We've got our button in the square hole, and it probably isn't going to stay there. We'll see. All right, now we've got 4 bolts. Okay, and then we've got these guys. So these are the shorter of the spacers, because you got these guys too. So that looks like that's going to be the 6mm to me, just by eyeballing it. So yeah, we got bolt through and spacer. Okay, so I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be the 5.5mm. And it is. Okay. All right, so make sure you've got your little green button in there. And now, okay, I guess now would be the time to go ahead and do our peel. So cute. All right, and you can kind of, I'm just lining up the knob. I know that's going to go there, so that should be nice and easy. How, I wonder if it looks like it's supposed to sit flush, so I just need to ooh, easy now. Wow, how's that for a fit? And we got our LED right there. Okay. Okay, see, everything looks good with the LCD and the LED. That's going to be just fine. I wonder if the LED fits through the hole. Maybe I could have left a little bit of the pins on the other side of that, but it's fine. All right, now we've got our 4 spacers, so we'll get those on there. Uh-oh. Yep, I'm turning the screw. Okay. All right, now we're going to do some wiring. So I'm going to set this here. Actually, I need to get my soldering iron out of the way. As far as I know, we should be done with that. Okay. So I'm going to go back to my little 1.5 mil flathead. And we've learned our lesson of this, at least with this little guy. I'm going to go ahead and loosen it so we can tighten it on there. And then I wonder how these work. Okay, so these work the same. They're just in the opposite state. So they're already down. So we just tighten to grab onto the wire. Interesting. Okay. We're going to go in order here. So pin 1 is going to go to the 9 volt right there. Get it in there and tighten it down. Pin 2 is going to go all the way over here. All right, pin 3 is going to go next to 2. Okay. And pin 4 is ground, so it's going to go on this little guy there. Did I loosen it enough? Yes. Okay. All right, now we're going to put this together, and it needs to go like that. All right, let's try to bend the wires. Oh, okay, I see. All right, what's it catching on? It's catching on something. Is this where he had that? Let me look at the, let me scroll up. I think my problem is that I don't have the resistor board like mounted down. No? Oh, well, I'm sandwiching some wires in there. Ah. Okay, let's try this way. Out of the way. Okay, another quick tip as I'm putting this back together. I ended up using a couple zip ties. So I've got a zip tie here because the way the cables come out, they tend to get pinched a lot when you're trying to put it back together, and you kind of have to hold them in as you go. So this just makes it much easier. And also put a zip tie here to keep the wire kind of going in that direction, because it would go right under the capacitor every time. So yeah, if you just a couple zip ties like that, it will go together first try every time. All right, and then now we can use our nuts to go ahead and finish things off here. And again, I have this little guy, but you can just use pliers or whatever. Just, you know, it is what it is. And I'm not going to tighten these down super tight either. I imagine I might be doing some mods to this, or, you know, changing things around, or going trying the other case. So Okay, so there's some kind of, all right, yeah, see that little kind of tab there? That is going to line up. It looks like there's more than one. Yeah, there's 3, because it does just freely spin. So as long as it lines up with one of them, I think we're good. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Okay, more Lego pieces. And we're going to attach them just like this. A little tight, but again, that's good. That means that this won't come apart. Yeah, so that seems to work well, to try to get both sides in first and then put it into place. All right. Then we got these little 3x3 guys. And of course, we're going to make sure the Lego logo is facing the right way. Ooh, that's going to be tough. Let's try this one. All right, that one went in there just fine. Okay. All right, and then this guy just sits in there. And yeah, that fits pretty good. Pretty snug. The color matches fairly well. That's not bad. Now we just flip it over, install our feet, and yeah, we're done with assembly. From here, we'll get into the software part, but I need to take a little break, let my phone cool down, let it cool down in here, and we'll get to the software side of things. Okay, so now we're ready to update our firmware on the interface C. So I'm on the interface-c.com website. Let's switch over to dark mode. If we scroll all the way to the bottom, we have download for Windows. I've already downloaded and installed it, and it will give you a warning that it's not like signed software or whatever it is, but you can just click more info and then install anyway or run anyway, whatever it is, and get it installed. I also had to install Python, so I just went to python.org, downloads, Windows, downloaded that and installed it, because you will need that in order to download the firmware. This is the instruction manual, so this is what I was using to get the thing assembled. And then under that, that's when we get into the flashing and operation of the software. It seems to be pretty intuitive from what I can tell. Okay, yeah, so this is the Python install, so I had just finished up with that. So we'll just click close. So first, let's go ahead and plug it in. So I have a USB-C cable. You have a USB-C port right there at the edge. You don't need to connect your power adapter just yet, but you do need to make sure your USB cable is a data cable and not just a charge cable, because it actually needs to communicate. So it's going to install the drivers for that. It's pretty quick about it because I've already plugged it in before. But it should just install automatically, depending on your operating system. I'm running Windows 10 on this computer. Okay, so let's go ahead and open up the Interface C utility. I've already flipped it to dark mode, so that's nice that it includes that right out of the box. So it's refreshing list, so it's looking for the board now, and it already found it, so it's on COM 6. So it looks like we are connected. And because there's already stuff on the LCD, I'm kind of assuming maybe it's kind of preloaded with software. I'm not really sure, but I'm going to go ahead and just do a flash on it just to make absolutely sure, make sure it's the latest firmware and all that. So again, so you just click over to flash, and then I'm going to click flash. Okay, click flash again. And this is where it stopped earlier because I didn't have Python installed, so it told me to download that. So we'll just let it do its thing. Okay. Flashing on COM5. That's odd that it said 6 earlier. Okay, flash complete. Finishing up. So it looks like, yeah, we're starting up. Okay, so that looks better. Now we've got, that was what I was expecting. So let's go over to monitor. And we have to select our board again. Okay, so we're set up. I'm not sure if, yeah, it's not doing anything yet. Okay, so we're back. Yeah, you probably already know this, but I had a bad solder joint on the knob here. So that was the trouble I was having. So I'm connected again. I'm going to go ahead. It is currently reversed, where you have the little R there next to the IP address. So I'm going to set direction A, and now it's not reversed. And that's just for this GBC module. I want it in that direction. So the IP address, what you're going to do is just click on network, set up network, and you can also erase it if you're troubleshooting and you're trying different things. Just click set up network, put it in your in the box down here, put in your SSID, enter your Wi-Fi password, enter, and then to confirm hit Y and then enter, and that will set it up. I'm not going to show that because I'm not going to give away my password, but it is already connected. You know, because we can see we have a IP address on the .5 network. So what you can do is if you press the green button, you can see it says on now. And if you type that IP address into a browser, and it can be on your phone, or it can be a computer that is connected to the same subnet, you can actually control it from here. So we can just control it up. That was kind of strange. I'm not sure why it did that. Let me go ahead and disconnect the USB. I'm not sure why it reset like that. Okay, so now it's set to 0 again. Okay, so let's turn the web interface back on. And then it comes up here. Very cool. And then of course we've got light and dark mode, just like before. So yeah, this is gonna be a lot of fun to play with. I'm gonna have a full video, which I mean you probably have already seen because it'll come out before this, really putting this through its paces and doing some more testing with it. But yeah, I hope this video helped you get up and running with your Interface C. I'm excited for some things, you know, in the future. We'll see what people do with it. So huge thanks to Diego Baca for putting this all together. This is a really cool project. I love to see this kind of stuff. Huge thanks to the channel members for helping keep the lights on here, and you know, helping with a little more income so I can buy stuff like this to show off for the channel, because this isn't sponsored. I don't do sponsored content as a general rule. So any kind of support for the channel, likes, comments, all that, it really helps out. Watching videos, watching them till the end. You can also join us in Discord. We're very active there, and we talk about this kind of stuff. I mean, as soon as this was announced, it was, you know, I was all over the Discord letting people know. And I'm sure we'll have some folks in there, you know, playing with these and coming up with their own solutions. Thanks to all of you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Oh, yeah, I was going to do a cool little outro thing. You have to remember that the web interface has to be off for the knob to be enabled. Okay.